Hello, you. On today's show, we're going to be talking about the cost of living in Spain, and I'll be joined shortly on the virtual settee beside this lovely virtual pool by our very good friend Ruth Collins-Coburn, who's very experienced with budgeting. She's very knowledgeable in lots of areas, it seems. We're going to be chatting about prices in different parts of Spain, whether it's cheap to live here, and lots of other things that will affect your cost of living, including things that you might not have expected. And this will be very handy. I hope it's very handy for lots of you. Lots of people ask this question on social media before they move. How much does it cost per month to live here? Anyway, so please do share your own experiences of living costs in the live chat over there and in the comments below. While you're there, give us a wave. Hit the like button, wherever that is, and gather round. It's time for our small but perfectly formed cosmic theme tune. Remember to do this bit. And here we go. Let's dance. Oh yeah, right, groovy baby. Just before I bring in Ruth, I'm getting ready for my gig. I've got a gig this afternoon, so getting all fired up, but I'm always fired up on a Saturday morning. Just before I bring in Ruth, don't forget to make a note of our website. There's going to be an advert winging its way around Facebook shortly about this. Anyway, our website is obviously YouTooSpain.com. It's written on the corner of the screen down there, and you can find lots of extra resources and links there that you need for your move to Spain and for living here. There's a free newsletter at the beginning of every month, so sign up for that. It doesn't cost you a penny. Very, very easy. Also, check out all of the other links in the video description below. You can use those links, and it always helps YouTooSpain. It doesn't cost you a cent. So win. Oh, here we go. Let's have that one on screen. It's a win, win, win with a cherry on top, as Walter would say all the time. Speaking of which, we now have a link below to our merchandise page with all of the most popular YouTooSpain catchphrases on t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, and other stuff. My t-shirts are in the post at the moment, so I'll shortly be wearing some of those on the show. And we've got the famous one. This one's going to come up a lot today. It depends. There's the let's dance, of course, and something I've been known to say quite a lot. Well, there you go. And there's the classic YouTooSpain, lots of others as well. There's some of the mugs, lots of different colors. Now, there you go. So without further ado, oh, by the way, if you can't get the right colors or the right phrases onto something that you want, just tell me and I'll get it sorted out. Give me a shout. Without further ado, let's meet our lovely guest. It's Ruth. Hiya.
Morning.
Hola. Morning. Hola. How you doing? I'm going hiya because we're gonna probably be talking dialect in different parts of the UK and different parts of Spain today, aren't we? How are you?
Absolutely fantastic. Warming up nicely after our 3 weeks of rain, which we shouldn't complain about because it's very, very needed. But we were beginning to get a little bit webbed feet. But yes, warming up nicely. The sun's super hot. We had 39 degrees yesterday here in Granada. So
lovely. Is that in the shade?
That was, yeah, part shade, part sun. It was one of the town thermometers. And it was all mostly 32, 33 in the shade yesterday. So
we've got official temperatures going up to 29 today, but that's the temperature in the shade. So that's very nice. And we're up in the mountains in Computer, which is the Malaga province. So we'll talk about the cost of living differences between those two places in a bit later. Let's just see who's on the live chat first. Mafmores, hola a todos, buenos dias to you. And Mike Ripper says, hasta luego. Are you going somewhere, Mike? And Bev says, good morning. Going to be seeing Bev shortly. She's the one who won the prize at Christmas to have a meal with me and Chris and get some other prizes. So
enjoy that.
Yeah, looking forward to that. And Robbo, John Bentley, Adam Farmano. Good morning from miserable-looking Wolverhampton. Sorry about that. Yeah. And AK Mitchell, that's Anton Cares, probably Anthony who's doing the writing. Hola todos from a hot France. We have we had a 4.9 earth tremor yesterday evening here. Anything there? Didn't feel it down here, but I've never felt an earthquake, so don't know whether I want to have that experience or not.
We had, I think it was something like 4,000 in Granada last year, all little ones, but they do report them. But we live just off the fault line, so we never feel any of them. But I've got friends who live like 15 minutes away, and they feel them regularly. But I'm okay for that. Thank you very much. No.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry about a little wobbly sound occasionally on this morning. Maybe it's the hot weather. I don't know. Robert says, flying home for 10 days tomorrow, and only 10 days. He's got a 4-year-old grandson with us, so we'll need a break when we get back. Can't wait to get home. Bless you for that. Janet Stanton's here. Good morning as well. Bev's looking forward to the meal. So am I. And Liz and I are going out for a meal tonight. Only in Computer. I say only in Computer. It's fabulous out there and a lovely restaurant. So live in New Zealand. Oh, live in New Zealand, Bev says. You'll get so used to earthquakes. Yeah. There's a few places. Italy as well. That's another place where you get a lot more decent sized ones that you feel. I'd say decent size, ones that you can feel. And we've only had one comment on social media. Nobody's actually asked the questions. I think most people are watching to find out. This is the sort of thing, I guess, the sort of people watching this, and when they watch back, when they see the video, it's going to be mostly people. We were just talking before the show, weren't we? It's going to be mostly people who are wanting to head out here, and it's going to be sort of just pre-retirement, sort of 55 to 65-year-olds. That's a big part of our audience, and it's going to be people who are not necessarily very rich, because the people who are on the wealthy side don't really well, I don't know, they can be really penny pinching, but normally when they're spending on other people. But so normally this is going to be people who are have to budget. So let's have a look at everyday living expenses. I'll tell you what, you've got a list of things to talk about, haven't you, Ruth?
Yes.
So we're going to talk about your sort of living expenses, how you sort those out.
Yes, I don't want to. I'm going to break the show open with it depends.
Yay!
Because it does depend on region to region, and of course it does depend on how you want to live your lifestyle. We're all different. We all have different things that we want to do week to week. But essentially, there is a core budget that I think everybody will need to pay attention to when they live here. So I've split my thought process into sort of three elements: your everyday budget, the going on holiday and entertaining budget, and then the oh my god, I didn't expect that, where are we going to get that money from budget. That's the really exciting one that we'll talk about later on. So on a week, so I'm married to the wonderful Mr. Coburn.
Yes, he is.
Who had his birthday yesterday, big birthday boy. He's just currently pedaling up the mountain, Tour de France style. We live on our own in a small village outside Granada called Feneth de la Vega. We have a standard Spanish townhouse, has 3 bedrooms, a couple of terraces, so very standard living in Spain. Granada city is probably one of the cheapest big cities to live in Spain. So we've got, for comparison purposes, we are on the cheaper end of the scale for everyday sort of going out expenses. On a week to week basis, we have 18,000 euros a year between us to live from. So how we split that, and I have standard costs that I separate out at the beginning of the year. So health insurance, house insurance, car tax, car insurance, and council tax, or as we call it here, EBIBI. So all of those fixed costs I take out at the beginning of the year and squirrel them away in one piggy bank, and that's 3,000 euros a year. So that's the 2 of us. Then on a monthly basis, we've got a budget that we religiously stick to. And I'll talk a little bit about why we religiously stick to it, and we can't keep dipping into things apps like you could before you moved here. So to cut straight to the chase, we have 500 euros on food a month on the big shop. We have water bill of 25 euros a month. TV and phone is 45 a month. We allow 180 euros for diesel. Majority of that is because we do like to tootle about a bit, but also we pick people up from Malaga Airport, so that's an hour and 40 away for us. We have 20 for gas and 40 to 45 for electricity. So they're your standard costs, and then we allow ourselves the grand sum of 200 euros a week for everything else. So that's going out, eating out, clothes, medicines, presents, anything you can think of has to come out of that 200. So around about, like I said, it's 18,000 a year. The reason that we have to stick to that, and this is why I think it'd be interesting from people who are thinking about their journey to come out to Spain and where they are in their financial circumstances. And this, I don't know if we need to get this on a mug, Skatz, NLV, because we must say that at the same time.
Yeah.
The non-lucrative visa, just to be boring and sling this in for a bit, because when you do your renewals, you have to prove your means, your financial means and your wealth. So if you're not at retirement age and you're living off your savings, maybe you've sold your house in England and you've made a bit of money like that, and you're going to live off this pot until your pensions come in, and you have to prove your wealth after your first application for year 2 and year 3 visa and year 4 and year 5 visa, you have to have that money in the bank. So you can't dip into your savings, or because you've got no way of putting it back because you can't earn money on the NLV. And it's not like we used to work. You go, oh, never mind, I'll get paid on the 31st. We'll go a bit tighter next month. You know, if you're on a restricted budget, it's super important to lay your budget out for cost of living, try it for a few months, adjust it, see where it goes up and it goes down. And then stick to it. Is my advice on that. So £200 a week, how do we fare? What do we do? Well, we don't eat out. We've saved that for birthdays and celebrations. We do like a little beer and a little gin and tonic, but we're very lucky in Granada because we get free tapas with every drink, so that's kind of our eating out. So that helps. We probably haircuts, for example, if we both need a haircut, that could be 40-50 euros, and that's quite a lot. If we want a haircut a week out of that.
Should do it like me. I've got my own shaver. That's it.
I'm growing it now. I'm saving money. I'm growing it. That's the way to do that.
Yeah.
So postage. If I need to post something back to the UK, a couple of quid. You only need to do that 3 or 4 times. So there's the little things like that come out, and you'd be amazed. Oh,
that postage, actually, somebody was talking about that that's an unexpected cost that people don't realize. How many relatives have you got? How many times do you send a card or a present? Or maybe you go on to Amazon UK and get it posted from there just to make it cheaper. There are lots of things that maybe you don't think about, and you end up spending a fortune on trying to get postage back to the UK because it costs more now.
That was one of my things in the unexpected costs. But we can have some handy top tips as we go through this. My mother-in-law, who's a wonderful woman, said to me, why don't you, when you come back at Christmas, why don't you go to the card factory, buy all your cards for the year, write them out, leave them with me, and I'll post them for you. And I said, oh, dear me, I know I'm even I couldn't get my head around that. I said, absolutely not. I can't think of anything worse. So I did a little exercise in terms of budgeting, how much it costs to live in Spain. And I worked out the average card. If I could be bothered to do that when I'm back in the UK, average cost of a card, a couple of quid, average cost of postage, whatever it is now, £1, I think, first class. How many cards I need to send a year and what it would cost. And it's actually cheaper. I use thoughtful.com, not a paid advertisement. And if you get 4 cards, you can get 4 cards for a tenner. Plus the postage is £3 something. And so if you get organised and you buy them in blocks of 4, It was cheaper to do that online, than it would be to do it when I'm back in the UK.
Wow.
Buy them that way. So little tips like that. Look around for things. When you send it back to the UK, think about your birthdays and what have you in advance, or maybe just say to everyone, "Look, we don't do that anymore. I'll just send you a text." Depends. Yeah. But so I saved nearly 60 quid doing it that way, which sounds penny pinching, but it's 60 quid that would just be thrown down the drain, for no reason. But yeah, postage back to the UK is horrific. So as is people posting things to you, because that's an unexpected cost.
Oh yeah.
People saying, "Oh, I've just sent you a little something in the post." You're like, "Oh
no,
cost me, I don't know how much." Our postman, I don't know anybody else has this. I mean, you live in the Campo, so I don't know whether you probably have to go to your post box, do you?
We do, yeah.
Yeah, we get ours delivered to the door, but if we get a package from the UK, he rings the doorbell, and we've learned, this is another little trick, he rings the doorbell and to see if you're in. If you're not in, he takes it back to the post office and you can go and pick it up for free.
Yeah.
If you are in, you open the door, he looks at you, he goes, writes it on, €8, €3, and just shows you on the packet, and you think, where are you getting that from? You're just making that up? Because and I have read, don't quote me, but I have read that there's a lucrative little sideline that some people have on delivering packages. But somebody sent me a pair of socks for a birthday last year, just a pair of socks, probably only cost a couple of quid. I had to pay €8 to receive the package. So another top tip, tell everybody, don't post you things.
Yeah, I've done that. Even some people have even paid for birthday cards that they've got in the post. And that's terrible. If you send, if a load of grandkids send their old nan out in the Campo, loads of cards, they end up spending about 20 quid just to get them.
Yeah.
And it's not good. And that's all since Brexit. It didn't,
Oh, have we got a mug with Brexit on? Because that's another.
I wonder. I bet somebody will just buy that and smash it. Maybe that's a possibility. It's all because of Brexit. Maybe a series of Brexit mugs. Yes, why not?
Pre-Brexit and post-Brexit.
Yeah. I just to make it clear, you've not got rent to pay, have you? Because you own your house.
No.
Right?
Yeah, we bought our house outright because we had no means of because we can't earn on the LLV, so we chose to buy our house outright, which obviously diminished our savings. So yeah, that's a big cost. So obviously, if you're going to rent, you've got to put a big chunk of your income for your rent.
Yeah, I was just going to put Matt's comment on the screen there. He'll be on a budget of around €2,500 a month, but he's renting. He's going to be in by renting. It'll be tight, but worth it. Actually, my microphone's way over here. Am I loud in now? He says, I do have savings of around €40,000, but hope not to dig too much into that. Yeah, it's a good idea not to, because you might need that later on.
You will definitely, if that. I was going to say reader, but no, if our viewing participant there, if you haven't got any other income, the savings of 40,000 might be a bit tricky for your renewals if you're intending to get your NLV.
But he's got passive income of 2,500, so
perfectly fine.
That's yeah. I think it's slightly more than that you need, but you've got the savings to cover that. So yeah. And Robbo says, because Math says I'm bald, so no expenses. And he says, what about polish for your head, Math? So yeah, he's going to put that on his budget now. Add that to his Excel spreadsheet. And Robbo's in the same club, apparently. So there we go. Yeah, us bald.
There's one to put on your list. Sun cream.
Sun cream, yeah.
How expensive is that? It is ridiculously expensive here.
Mm-hmm.
We got the much beloved mother-in-law to bring us out several bottles when she came, because I couldn't believe the price of it. We use it. We don't sunbathe now. We're 18 months in, so we're shade hoppers now.
Yeah.
But the cry of how hot, that's another mug. It's too hot. So we don't tend to use it as much. But seriously, in your first year, when you move out, take a trip to Aldi or B&M Bargains and at least send one of your removal boxes with a lot of cream.
Yeah. Talking about Aldi, and I'm going to talk about Lidl later on. because we've got some price comparisons in the second half of the show. Going to look at price comparisons between different cities, and there's a comparison site here, and it talks about different products that you can get in your shopping. And I will cover this properly later on, but it's looking at the prices of some things like cheese, for example. And it says, yeah, cheese is much more expensive in Spain if you're used to buying a certain amount of cheese. And that's because Spanish cheese is more expensive anyway. But if you can find a basic cheese in Lidl, for example, you can buy a mature cheddar in Lidl that's cheaper than you can get a mature cheddar for in the UK.
Yeah, I think it's worth discussing a bit. So we've said about the kind of overall budget. So to reiterate, I would say a couple can live comfortably and not too anxiety ridden on €22,000 a year. If there's no rent or mortgage to pay. So let's assume that you take that out of the budget. So to recap, 22,000 a year, you'll have a nice relaxed lifestyle with one eye on the pennies, but you still enjoy yourself. I think it's worth going into some depth about the cost of living for about things like food and petrol, because they are very variable here and they do go up and down. The electricity costs and the gas costs are fairly fixed. If you're on your butane gas, your bottle gas, there's no mainline gas in Spain. If you're on your butane bottle, that cost is capped by the government. So we've discussed this before, haven't we, Skatz, where well, it's interesting you pay for that, but it's at the moment it's just over €16 a bottle, and a bottle for us, and we do have quite a few visitors, probably lasts 4 to 5 weeks. That's a fairly fixed cost. Your electricity, you can be really in control of your electricity costs. If you shop around for your provider, we're with Endesa, which is a huge provider. They've got 3 tariffs to choose from. Incredibly helpful. They've got English speaking customer service assistants. So if you go online and you can chat to somebody English, you never underestimate the power of dealing with somebody for your things like your utilities and medical things, of trying to find a company that has somebody English speaking. You live down on the Costas and you're in a very immigrant area, you've probably got more access to that. If you choose to live somewhere else in Spain that's less English speaking, bear that in mind when you're buying your products, because it does make life easier.
You say the cost. Sorry to interrupt, but you say the cost can be quite fixed for the utilities. But I hear when somebody asks the question on social media, there's always somebody saying, no, we pay like less than half of that. And then somebody says, no, we're paying such and such a month. And it really depends a lot on, I suppose, what you're using in the house, and where your house is, the thickness of the walls. So those costs can vary quite a lot, although the companies don't necessarily, although you can get on various different tariffs. We've not got a choice of what tariff we're on, because the landlord gets the bill and he didn't want the bill to go in our name. That's fair enough. It's turned out to be relatively cheap, but we had a bill one month for €210, but now we're paying more like 70 or 80.
I think you're right. It's a cost that you can control yourself, because you can choose how much electricity you want to use. So if you've got lots of gadgets and you've got 3 fridge freezers and 2 dishwashers, if you've got a big family, then if you're going to run more appliances, it's going to be more expensive. But you can choose to. So I'm a permanent light switcher offer. Cool. What room you in? There's only this light doesn't need to be on. So by that I mean that we can choose that we unplug everything that we don't use. We've only got 1 fridge freezer, which is the most expensive thing that you will run. That costs the most. So it is very variable, and you do hear people think, what tariff are you on? So just like the same in the UK, shop around and then be mindful. Don't be leaving your lights on. That's a cost that you can choose to moderate, as opposed to, say, food and petrol diesel costs, which fluctuate wildly in Spain,
Mm-hmm.
that can catch you out. So do you remember last year our fuel costs went through the roof, and we were paying over like €2 a litre at one point. It was back down here to 1.35. So you couldn't control that. You didn't have a choice. You needed to put diesel in the car. You need to get around, and all of a sudden, just like the UK, it had gone up, 80 cents a litre. So I think it's worth, in your budget, looking at the costs that you can control and deciding how you want to live your life about those. What TV do you want to watch? What package do you want to get there? Because there are packages you can get here that allow you to watch English-speaking channels. With the food costs, again, do you like to eat out a lot? Do you like to cook? Do you like to cook from fresh? If you like to eat out a lot, then up your budget. It sounds obvious, but up your budget for that and lower your big shop budget. It depends where you live. We've just been to Tossa de Mar in Catalonia, and the menu del dias there were at €25. I was absolutely astonished, because here we pay 12 for a menu del dia. I'm like, what do you get? Have I got caviar on that? And it was just standard, usual thing: ensalada mixta, some rice, a pork dish, a pudding, and a coffee. And I'm like, that's double. So you can imagine, if you live in that part of the country, then your budget would be completely different. So
we can get it for $9.50 at the most local restaurant, which is one of the really good ones.
So over 6 months, 2 people in a 70-metre apartment is 1 cubic metre of water per week. Oh, is this a maths test?
Yeah, I just put this up because I said to people, put the let us know your living expenses in there. But sometimes the live chat doesn't appear on the video playback, so I thought I'll put that up on screen. Phil's been really kind and said this is what they're paying, €6 a week for that. Electricity 6.8 kilowatts per hour, €20 per week. Shopping 80 to 100 per week. Average eating out menu del dia is 15. That's 15's, I'd say, quite high for a menu del dia. But then again, I'm out in a village, so I suppose if you go into Malaga or Madrid, would be more expensive.
That €20 a week. You see, I think that's really expensive for electricity. We pay €40 a month in a 155 square metre 4-storey house for 2 people.
I don't know how you manage that. I mean, 70 or 80 a month for us seems cheap.
Oh, I'm obsessed by it, honestly. I mean, when the dishwasher goes on, when the washing machine goes on. I think when I set the budget before we moved here, I did allow €200 a month for electricity and gas, because I had heard that utilities were. Then you've got to remember, the world was a different place in 2021 before the cost of living crisis in the UK as well. So I did set out with 200 in the overall budget, but as we live now, like I said, we spend on average 40 to 45 a month. And I probably speak to Endesa every couple of months to say, am I on the best tariff? Have a look at what I'm using. Can you recommend something else? That's another thing you've got to get used to here with the cost of living. Don't be frightened to speak to people and say, is that the best you've got? When you move to Spain, something happens and you lose how you would behave in England about things. I'm not paying that in England. And you come here and you're like, oh, £1 million for electricity. Okay, yes, I'll pay that because I'm in a different country. Don't be frightened to go, is that the best deal you've got for me? Have you got anything else, with your TV company? What else can you give me? Keep that kind of sort of English mentality of asking for the best you can get.
Yeah, and look for tariffs. We're going to talk about tariffs later on when we compare cities. Actually, I'm just looking at that tariff. We'll do that in the second half of the show. And it's mobile phone plans seem to be really cheap in the UK, for example. And it says on this plan that mobile phone plans are more expensive here. And I don't know. I think you can still shop around and get some really good deals. And it depends on who you want to phone, because there's the phone company that I use is Lobster, and you get free calls to the UK, free calls to the USA. In fact, a whole raft of countries, the whole of Northern Europe. So if you imagine what it used to be like, or remember what it used to be like 20 years ago when calls to foreign countries used to cost a fortune on a mobile, then the tariffs now, well, we pay $18.99 a month each, which I suppose that's quite important to us because we're both self-employed. That's another difference in lifestyle that I could talk about. But
yeah, we pay for TV. We get our mobile phone SIM cards in with our TV package, and the TV package is €45 a month, and we get two SIM cards.
Mm-hmm.
But it does have limited data, and we found that it has 5 gig of data. And we found when we're traveling around, we're not on Wi-Fi, we can eat into that. So it's a little bit limited, and it doesn't include landline calls. But we use WhatsApp to call people. So WhatsApp's really good. WhatsApp's essential when you're in Spain. Everybody deals in WhatsApp and uses it to call people. So yeah, €45 for us, and that's TV and phone. So I don't think that's too bad. It's a lot less than we were paying in the UK.
That's very good for phone. Now we pay our broadband package includes the TV, and that's $30.99. So if you add that to our mobile phone bills, another to another 38 on top of that. So we're paying quite a lot.
So that was Serviphone. For all these name checks we're given these big companies. So Serviphone is a company. They cover the Canaries as well as mainland Spain, and they're English speaking as well. They have English speaking representatives and Spanish. Can we talk about about entertaining and holidays and travel?
Yes, I think so. I'll tell you what, we're at 10:30 now. Shall we do the mid show break, and we'll get back to everybody's questions and everything else after that. I'm eager to get this video on. I like playing this thing. So everybody enjoy this. It's Hello to Skatz in a different time zone. Are you getting something helpful from this show? Are you enjoying YouTooSpain? Then click on the thumbs up and subscribe to YouTooSpain while you're here. And click on the bell for notifications. It's all free, but it's worth loads of money. I need coffee to keep my picker up. You can donate coffee to us all. There's a link in the video description below, or use the QR code. It'll be in the top left-hand corner of the screen after this message, sweetie. But that's not all. You can support YouTooSpain with a regular monthly amount. It's only a few quid. Oh, he's worth a lot more than that. There's a link below to Patreon, where you can find out what extra groovy things you get by helping out. Oh, I'm all a quiver. One more thing. Get on with it. There's an important guest twiddling their thumbs. All right, calm down. The lovely video watcher needs this. Go on then. There are lots of other links to vital things below. Like what? Well, do you need private healthcare insurance? Yes. Do you need a visa or residency? Do you need to exchange currency? What about finding a property? Or getting tax and pensions advice? Or getting a Spanish mortgage? Or getting documents translated and apostilled? Or getting a medical certificate? Or finding a lovely little app for learning Spanish? Do you need the best mobile phone provider? Or a digital business card so you never need paper ones again? Or do you just want one of YouTooSpain's t-shirts with a slogan on it? You can even get discounts on dental treatments and get a lovely little smile like Skatz. All of those links are there down below. If you can't find them, ask me in the comments. Is that everything, darling? I need to get my nails done. Probably not. Let's get back to the show, shall we? Back to Skatz in the studio. I wanted to say that. Oh, stop being beastly, you two. YouTooSpain. Over to you, Skatz. Thank you, Skatz, and Walter and Tommy and Dick for joining us. They mentioned some interesting things there. There was insurance in that, and that's something that I've got in my annual expenses. That's how I split down things a little bit differently to you, maybe because of the business as well. I put all my food and household and garden and things like that all in one big lot, and that's including eating out. And maybe it's a better idea to split those up into the different categories. You've put those in completely different categories, haven't you, for entertaining?
I was thinking about that while I was watching Walter and his buddies. When I set the budget originally, I put in quite detailed categories because I wanted to look to see was I right? I wanted to budget and forecast, and then control it and compare it to see whether I was right, because we never lived in Spain. I had an idea, but I wanted to make sure was I right? Was the food budget right? Was the electricity right? And after year one, which brings me on nicely to the entertaining budget. After year one, I budgeted too much for food, so the food budget came down. It was good. That came down by €100. What I realised is I hadn't budgeted for some things. So things that we missed out were, and the only way I knew that is because I've been very specific about putting everything in small chunks. So taking the annual costs out of insurances, your fixed annual costs that you have to pay, you can't avoid, take them out at the beginning of the year. Like I said, put them in the piggy bank. They're done. And that's about £3,000 for everything. What I realised when I compared at the end of year one, the things that I hadn't put in the budget, flights back to the UK, absolutely caught us out. Just didn't think about it. And it sounds so obvious. Everybody's rolling their eyes now and saying, well, of course you're going to go back to the UK. What's the matter with you? But I don't know why I didn't think of it. I just thought, oh, yeah, we live in Spain. Everyone's going to visit us. But of course you need to go back. You'll need to go back and just visit family and friends, but you might have emergency trips that you need to go back for. So when I look back, we'd spent probably in the region of €1,000 on flights back. Well, that's huge. If you've only got a budget of €21,000 a year, and suddenly you've got an extra 1,000. So what that meant in year two was I had to find that €1,000, again, and realign the budget. So make sure you put in your overall budget how much it costs to live in Spain, come on to entertaining, having a holiday, traveling, and going back to the UK. So how do you want to live your lifestyle? Do you want to go and travel around Spain? Do you want to go and see lots of wonderful different places? Do you want a little holiday? Everyone says, oh, you're always on holiday. Well, no, I just live in Spain. I'm not on holiday. I just live in a different country. Just because the sun's shining doesn't mean I'm on holiday.
Yeah.
So, we want to do a bit of touring. So this year we've been to Catalonia, went to Tossa de Mar. We go to Alicante quite a bit because we've got friends there we like to go and see. We're going to Bilbao at the end of next week to go to see the Grande part of the Tour de France because we love cycling. We're going to Denia later in this year to go and see the Vuelta. So we've got to find, we're going to go camping. We've got a couple of little hotels that we're going to book, all the extra diesel that we're going to spend. Is that in your budget? Have you got a couple of €1,000 that you want to spend on that? Because if you haven't, you won't be doing it. So think about your lifestyle when you're here. Year one is all about setting your house up and setting your garden up and buying things. And then, year two and year three, you think, okay, well, we live here now, we do a bit of travel. Have you factored that in your, if you're on the NLV, YouTooSpain bingo, NLV. If you're on the NLV and you've got your 5-year budget to do, because you can't, unless you've got passive income, you can't earn anything. So you've got to look at a 5-year view if you want your whole year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 renewals. Have you factored in your holidays? Then there's the big thing of your family and friends coming to visit. Oh, we'll come and see you. Can't wait to come and see you in Spain. Oh, yeah, can't wait for you to come. We've had 2 weeks of visitors every month this year.
Yeah.
So each month we've had different people. It's added up to about, apart from April, where we had 24 days of visitors in April this year.
Wow. Was that us? When did we come up?
No, you came in January or February.
Oh, yeah. It was the snow was on the mountain. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, it was after the landslide. So it was January. The big mountain landslide, didn't we? Yeah. So, April, we had 24 days of visitors. Now, it's lovely to see family and friends, and I'm not a miserable person. I love my family, but they're all on holiday. So when they come, they want to go out, they want to eat out, they want to see, can we go and see the cathedral? Can we go on the tourist train or whatever? And you want to show them around. Well, that consequently means then you're on holiday with them. So you're spending holiday money every day. That comes out then of our pocket money that we have, our €200 a week, which is what we spend I can't remember if I said that at the beginning. We have 200 euros a week to spend
on everything else.
Everything else. Clothes, medicines, haircuts, all that sort of thing. So we're spending that 200 euros on enjoying holidays with people. That doesn't go very far when you're out eating and drinking every day, or sightseeing. So this is just us personally, and other people do it in different ways. And I've talked to lots of people who live here and how they handle it. We had to start asking people to contribute when they come to see us. So we ask people to make a contribution. It's not earnings because it covers their living costs. We ask people for 15 euros a day per person, because that helps us with the gas, the electricity, all the extra toiletries you use, the washing machines on more because you're washing bedding and things like that. And it also helps us to go out with people and take them places. So, if they want to go down to the coast from here, and we say, yeah, we'll take you, we'll drive you down. We've only got a fixed diesel budget. We can't afford to put that back in. So it absolutely killed me to say this to people. And I'm terribly sorry, but we're going to have to ask you for a little bit of a contribution, because we just couldn't sustain it. So when you're fixing your budget to come out to live here, think about how many people will come and visit you. Think about what they'll want to do. Think about what you'll want to do with them, because it will cost money. So when you think about the way you want to live your lifestyle, that's a very important bit to put in. The other thing that we forgot to factor in, I say we, it was me, was in England, we love to be spontaneous and, there's a show on, or there's a gig on, let's go and watch that. Or, I've just seen a great deal for an overnight stay in the Lake District or whatever. That's completely gone. No spontaneity now. It doesn't matter how good the deal is, we can't do it. That's really affected me, because I fundamentally had to change the way that we live, because, we live in a lovely part of Spain and we've got a lovely life, but we'll go past the theatre in Granada and there might be like a really good... So, for example, Bob Dylan played this week. Bob Dylan played in Granada. Love Bob Dylan. 281 euros a ticket. Now, that's pretty prohibitive for anybody, whatever your lifestyle, I think. But we don't have a budget. We would need to save up out of our €200 pocket money every week if we want to do like that. So if you're the type of person that's spontaneous and likes to go out to the theatre or go to gigs or concerts or that sort of thing, think about that, because, if two of you want to go, if we want to go to the theatre and see, I don't know, a musical or something here in Granada, probably it's going to be €80. 2 tickets. We love flamenco. We go to the flamenco a lot. We like to take people to that. It's €25 a ticket. Well, for John and I, it's €50.
We were thinking about going to see the Who with an orchestra in Barcelona. That would have meant not only 200, 300 euros a ticket each, but staying in Barcelona for a night and the cost of the flight. Probably we could have taken trains, but that would maybe have meant, because it's a longer journey, might have meant an extra night's stay, just either on the first day or the last day, getting there and back. So it cut well over €1,000 just for one entertainment thing. And just the trip, weekend trip to Cordoba cost us quite a few hundred. It was heading towards 1,000 because we went out for meals. It's the holiday mentality when you're on a trip. We never used to. We were talking before the show started about how much you budget when you're on holiday, and we're in New York. We budgeted $150 a day for going around. You can't, if you were living on that here in Spain, 150 euros a day, you'd be very rich, and I can't work out how much a year that is, but it's a lot.
You probably wouldn't be having the conversation about how much it costs to live in Spain and what's my budget, because it does mount up, and it's these things, because you think you're living in Spain, you forget you still will want a holiday. You still will want to go out to entertainment venues. Those things need to be thought about, because it's obvious. Your water, your electricity, your gas, your rent, those costs are obvious. It's the unexpected ones. And then I suppose that brings us on to emergency, oh my God, I didn't expect that. And then kind of what does it, how the variable cost, things that are expensive, garden furniture, plants, plant pots.
Yeah, we've spent loads on the garden, but then again, Liz's business is massages and things like that in the garden. There's these pamper days that she runs, so the garden has to look really, really nice. So, and there weren't enough plants there to start with, and sometimes the weather blows the plant pots down, or sometimes the dog nicks one and throws it in the swimming pool, and you know, that's an extra cost. These are the emergency costs of dogs. Yeah, and also there's things like helping your children. We're at those ages where we've got children who are supposed to be looking after themselves, but our son's at university, and you need to give them money every now and then, and that's something that you've got to bear in mind. We've basically told our son, you're looking after yourself, you've got to learn how to budget and do this, but in spite of that, we still have to help out every now and then.
You're absolutely right. We've got our son and daughter-in-law and our granddaughter coming out for the first time at the end of the month. She's 3. She'll have her birthday while she's here. And I said, oh, we haven't got a car seat. You need to get a car seat. You need to hire a car seat. Go and pick them up from the airport. So you're right. You help your children out, don't you? You think, oh, give them this. So all these little hidden costs, think of exactly, sit down, think about what you do in England, how you live your life. Look at the costs you have there and say, will I still be doing that in Spain? And then make sure they're factored in. No, oh my gosh, we didn't think about that kind of cost, which we'll come on to.
Annual costs as well, which are things like I always pay car insurance, house insurance, you know, contents, national insurance payments to the UK, so I can top my pension up. That's another one I wasn't expecting to pay. Life insurance I pay monthly, but all of those other insurances, and I've got a sort of business insurance for my musical instruments as well. I pay those in a lump sum. So there's one particular month, which is the month that we actually moved into this house, November. Suddenly there's a massive load of bills come in because you've got to renew your insurances. Didn't think about, well, I did think about it because we were doing that back in Ireland as well, but they gradually got split up over the year as we changed insurances, and you move house, you know, when you're over there, and it changes the months around, so they tend to split up after a time, but not at the moment. Everything's in November here.
Oh, just before Christmas.
Nightmare. And there's Christmas.
One thing you've got to put in as well, if you're on the dreaded NLV, is think about how you're going to pay for your renewals. If you're using a company to do it for you, what do they cost? If you're going to do it yourself, if you think you can negotiate all the forms yourself. We currently, the last time we renewed, it cost us €600 to renew. I mean, that is a very variable cost, because I know some people who do it themselves, and I don't know what it is, I think it's 70 or 100, I think, for the form. But again, that's another cost. You suddenly, oh yeah, I didn't think about that, I've got to do that.
I tell you, it would shock you all, I think, to know how much we spent in the last tax year. It was about €60,000. But then again, I bought these. That was quite a massive expense, and I would say that would be about a quarter of that. So that's something that you wouldn't expect to pay. But I went to the dentist and they said, you know, your normal teeth, they're a mess. They could probably fall out in the next 10 years and your bill would be a lot bigger. So in the end, that's one of those massive emergency expenses. And it's given me a nice smile as well. So hopefully it will pay off by me being a much more gleaming presenter of this show.
I had to get new glasses last year.
Yeah, they're expensive, aren't they?
Flipping heck. I mean, they had a sale on, which is just as well. I mean, John had to sit down for 2 hours after I told him what they cost. I mean, without them, I'm completely blind. But yeah, they were 500 something euros. But I had to have them, and I just, all of a sudden, I think, I can't. These glasses I've had for like 2 or 3 years. I'm not quite seeing it, and I thought, flip, I didn't expect that. Right, where we're going to get that from? The car went magnificently wrong last year.
We had that.
that was, every time we went past the garage, it was 150 euros. So it was, I think we spent about 700 euros getting it fixed last year. We couldn't have budgeted for that. We just, all 4 fuel injectors went. So, these things happen, don't they? It's life, but you've got, if you're coming here on a very tight budget where every euro matters, you've got to think about this: annual fixed costs that you can't avoid, your insurances, day-to-day living costs, which you need, emergency funding. What have you got squirreled away just in case something goes wrong? And then you've got your 4th kind of bit, which is like, I want to do the garden. We want to get an inflatable pool. We want to make the terrace look nice or whatever. But the unexpected costs, like say teeth. John's had he tore his muscle in his arm taking a suit jacket off at my cousin's wedding. He took it off and went pinged his muscle. So he went to the hospital here in Spain and he had to have physio. They were going to do surgery, but we think we've cured it with physio. That put our health insurance renewal up by 500 euros.
Oh, nasty.
So I went back and said, oh, no, don't be silly. You've just put it up by 500 euros. That can't possibly be right. Tell me what your real increase is. And it did come down. I managed to get it down to 300. But, I'd already said, okay, well, our health insurance is around the 2,000 mark. It's not now. It's now the 200-300 mark. Again, that was just, couldn't plan for him injuring himself.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, those emergency and part of our expense in that first year, out of that 60 grand, was buying a car. So I had thought about some of these expenses in advance. I knew we were going to eat into our savings, and having 2 businesses as self-employed people, we have to budget for social security payments every month for both of us, which start off at a relatively low rate, the sort of introductory rate, although we're older, so they started off higher because we haven't got as many years to pay before we get the pension, which is what that money comes out of at the end of the day. So it is so difficult to budget for all of those, to think about all of those things as you go along, and knowing how much our businesses are going to grow and anticipating that is something you can't do, because we've also got seasonal visitors here in Computer. There's people who own houses but don't live here, and they come and go at different times of the year. There's also visitors that come and go, different kinds of visitors. There's the walkers who come in the sort of the autumn and in the spring. Then there's the people who love the heat. A lot of the Northern Europeans, they go home in the summer because they can spend the summer in the in their old home countries. So so much that is, it depends. We've not said it very much, but it really does depend. I wonder what people have been.
Region to region depends. Like I said, Catalonia is expensive. Personally, I find Alicante area expensive.
Almeria is supposed to be. Is that one of the cheapest areas? Is that for shop? I know it's cheaper for properties and cheaper for rental, but have we got anybody listening from there, watching from there, who can tell us what your sort of shopping is like? I've got I'm going to bring this comparison site up after I've just had a look through the live chat, because we've not mentioned anybody that's been speaking for quite a while. So let's see. Oh, Jason from Jason's Web. When I've become a Spanish resident with private medical insurance, what happens when I can no longer take care of myself? Well, do old people's homes and care homes exist in Spain? And who pays insurance / state? That's a very good question. We did talk about that on the show with Age in Spain. Maybe ageinspain.com are the people you need to get in touch with about that, because they'll be able to point you to exactly the right place to get that advice. And it depends on the area that you're in as to what facilities are available. I think there are facilities, and there are even facilities in some places for English speaking residents, because one of the things that occurred to me was, as all of this money that I'm spending on Spanish lessons, there's another cost, Spanish lessons. all of the money that I'm spending on Spanish lessons, when I finally grow to that age when maybe I get Alzheimer's, all the Spanish lessons are going to go out the window. I'm only going to be able to speak English. So am I going to feel completely lost, even more lost than I would have done, than I couldn't speak to the staff there? So
I think that's a
good question.
Really good question, a really valid point. In your budget and life planning, have you thought about what happens if I need to go back to the UK? Whole other show, I think, really, and a little slightly depressing because we're always terribly excited to get here in the first place. But there will come a point, I think, in all of our existences here where a life change happens. Maybe we lose a partner, or we, become less mobile or whatever, and we think we might want to go back. It's going to be tricky to go back the other way. So I think it's maybe that's another show. A bit depressing. Let's keep it light.
Yeah, and we're not even thinking like that. We can't imagine the possibility of going, because we came from Ireland and we don't really have anything to go back there. We've got friends over there, but we haven't got a house or relatives or anything else over there. So we wouldn't really go back to Ireland in an emergency. We'd have to go back to the UK. But we haven't lived there since 2012. So no idea what we do, and we wouldn't really want to. So yeah, we've got to make it work.
Let's talk about cheese.
Let's talk about cheese. Let's just zip through these. Any more messages? Phil says, so far we've had a good life using Spanish products on €1,500 a month, same budget as you, Ruth, including dining out once per week. Oh, there you go. So they're managing to squeeze out some extra meals, 3 visits to local bars per week. We're hardly going out at all. And I'm fortunate enough to be working as a musician as well. So I don't have to pay for my drinks when I'm there. But of course, if I'm doing a gig down on the coast, I can't really drink anyway because I've got to drive down there. So
where does Phil live?
Yeah, where do you live, Phil? I should know this. Almeria, Alicante? I can't remember. I see so many people's names on this show. And so basic medicine cost in Spain plus not available via supermarkets. Yeah. Plus no card shops. Yeah, there aren't birthday card shops, are there? Yeah. Where do you get your birthday cards from? I just don't buy them anymore because I've just got rid of that bit, because I've said to people, don't send cards because we might end up paying for them, and or we do it through like the company that you said. I think we use Moonpig to send ours out. Phil says we live on the playa at Mojaca.
Oh, okay.
Tourist prices. So is that Almeria?
Yeah, you're doing well. €1,500. Well done.
Yeah, you are. Phil says mobile pays €10 a month with Leica Mobile with calls to the UK. Yeah, that is cheaper than we're paying. But I think we've got the plan which has got loads of data on it. I don't think we need it because we're normally on Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Matt David says hello. Chris says, this is an interesting one. Having a pool. How much would having a pool add to your monthly budget? You've got an outdoor above ground.
Yeah, we've got
small pool.
Above ground. It's 4 meters by 2.5 meters. So, and it's a meter deep.
Mm-hmm.
So I call it my adult paddling pool, which John doesn't like. So it's like it's a
plunge pool, isn't it?
Yeah. So I can swim a length, but then I'm only 5'1". So but it's big enough to sit in, have your beers, and just like do a bit of a plodge. So I say 4 meters by 2 meters. It costs us. We fill it up once a year because we clean it, and it made a difference of about €6 on the water bill to fill it up.
Yeah.
Very little. Cleaning products, €38 to buy the chlorine, and you put in one every couple of weeks. So it's about €38 for that. Mm-hmm.
Do you get it cleaned by someone, or do you do it all like yourself?
We do it. We've got the pump comes with it, so the pump runs every day.
I've known the cleaning person to cost about 80 a month or something like that. Although we don't pay. We learn. Unfortunately, our landlord is a pool cleaner. That's part of his plumbing company. So, and I said, just teach us how to do it and we'll keep it maintained. So we do it. I say we do it. Liz cleans it because she needs it cleaned several times a week so that it can look good for the guests.
I think if you have a below ground pool, like you've got, and like the one behind you, different kettle of fish, you're not allowed to fill it up from a private water supply. You have to get it filled by a bowser. You have to get it cleaned. You have to, it's very different. So I think, I don't know what it costs to get the water delivered by bowser, and you wouldn't empty it every year. So I think that's, like you say, it's a specialist job, that.
Yeah, and there's a big swimming pool at the local hotel, which is occasionally open to the public, and that's more of a one that you really can swim in. It's a decent size. That apparently costs 15,000 a year to refill. That's it, or at least to do a complete change of water. I don't think they do it every year. No. I certainly wouldn't, but the cleaning bill on that must be a lot bigger because, well, you've got to have specialist equipment to be able to reach the hole right the way down to the bottom, to hoover the bottom of the pool and all of that. Janet's comparing your figures favourably with hers. Wasn't far off the mark, and it's only her. It's also a third of what it's currently costing me to live in the UK. It's a win-win-win with the cherry on top. There we go, Janet. It is cheaper than the UK. Barry's saying apparently Turkey do good teeth. I didn't want to go to Turkey for lots of different reasons. I'll go into that in the video that I do about teeth. I'm actually interviewing the dentist. Finally, I'm going to interview my dentist. I talked about doing that show a while ago when I did the first one. And that is going to happen soon. So those people who've been looking for that, then you don't have to wait too much longer. This is Liz. I've heard some real horror stories about folks having teeth done in Turkey. There you go. It's having fixed back in the UK and spending almost double the original price. Yeah, there's always going to be those nightmare stories. And bearing in mind that I've been backwards and forwards to the dentist quite a few times to have little adjustments made. And there were also lots of other things to do in my mouth that they wouldn't have been able to do. It wasn't just a case of taking them all out, putting the new ones in. There were bone grafts and all kinds of stuff which has got to repair, and you've got to wait for at least a month for that to happen, and then you've got to go back and check, and then they say no, you need another 2 weeks. So it would have cost a fortune flying backwards and forwards to Turkey, and a lot more than it costs here in Spain, which is about half to a third of the cost that you'd pay in the UK or Ireland. So yeah, can you still top up your pension, says Barry, if you live in Spain, as well as contributing to a Spanish pension and potentially having 2 retirement incomes? It's yes, you can top up your UK pension. Need to speak to one of our pension advisors about that. Have a look for the links below. Saying potentially having 2 retirement incomes, you might get them separate. You might get one from the UK and one from Spain if you've paid into the Spain one. We've paid into Ireland, and the Ireland and the Spain one, the European ones, will be stuck together and paid by whichever country I contributed to for the most number of years, which probably by retirement will be Spain. I only paid 8 years in Ireland. So we'll get one pension from them and we'll get one pension from the UK, but it won't be like having a double pension, I don't think. I'm hoping it will be. I'm hoping it wouldn't be wonderful if we could get 2 full pensions. Both of us, Liz and I, getting 2 full pensions from 2 different countries. We'd end up on about $3,000 a week or something, or a month, which would be fantastic, and we could live like kings. But I'm going to have to wait and see what happens, because I think you can only do something like 35 years in total, and then you get the equivalent of what is a full pension. I'm not up to full pension in the UK, and I won't be in Spain. So I think I'm going to have a part pension from one and a part pension from the other. And who knows? I think the fact that we're both self-employed is going to mean we get kind of separate ones, which means it'd be better than getting one of those joint pensions as a couple, I think. But I'm really not sure. I need to check up on that. Yeah, Liz says she's doing a budget now. Way less than Ireland, even with the Hestor fees and social security.
Yeah, I think that's the overarching point of this is, I know we've gone in and we're going to look at comparisons now, aren't we, with
we are,
UK.
yes.
But I think broad brush statement is still cheaper here.
Yeah, let's do that now. Let's just take that off the screen then. don't think there are any other comments. Our pool is classed as above ground. Oh yeah, because there's an actual drop down. That piece of land wasn't there, so it's been kind of put there as an above ground, and then things filled in around it. So there you go. Oh, Mike Repper said, I said there was a comment on social media. He did send this message. In Capilliera last week, I got a cafe con leche and a croissant for €2. He was impressed with that. Yeah, that's about, you'd pay just slightly more than that in Computer, I think. Although I've not bought a croissant. Yeah, it'd be similar prices, but that's a lot less than going into Starbucks.
A tostada here and a coffee would be about $2.40. Yeah.
Brilliant. So I'm going to share this screen now that I've got up beside me. Cost of living comparisons. Here we go. This is a cost of living comparison site. Now, there was also a news article that you sent to me from Sur in English, which is a newspaper based in Malaga, actually, just down the road from me. And it's from the Andalusian Institute of Statistics and Cartography, has revealed the basic items that have risen and dropped most in price compared to 2022. And I'd say generally, this is just comparing year to year, but the prices have definitely gone up in Spain over the last 10, 20 years. So it used to be really, really, really cheap for absolutely everything, but it's not the same as people would have talked about 20 years ago.
And it's interesting, some of the things that have gone up in the last year. I mean, the pork, it says it's 17%. I mean, pork is like the national meat here. It's like, it's huge. The oils and fats we knew, we could see that, buying a bottle of olive oil is very expensive. Sugar, again, I mean, 44%. I mean,
yeah, fortunately, I don't eat sugar in any way, shape, or form, or any processed foods, or milk.
Don't eat milk.
22.
So I'm all right there. But
or potatoes. Well, I don't eat most of the things on the other.
John said this morning, don't forget to tell everybody how expensive potatoes are. I mean, they're ridiculous. At the moment, they wildly oscillate the prices, but 5 kilos of potatoes here at the moment is over €6.
Wow, that's more expensive than Ireland, I think. I can't remember what you used to pay. Liz might be able to tell us on the live chat there. Maybe so it was less than a $5.
On obviously these are annualized prices that you can see that they've gone up. Dairy but cheese, like you said, is expensive. It's I know this is, anyone still in the UK is going to go, oh, you should be here and see how much the food prices are here. I know it's more expensive in the UK. My point is here, the food price is wildly different. So in the winter, you could pay €6 for half a melon, and in the summer, you'll pay €1. So seasonal pricing is massive here. And you will, when we moved here, you could get 2 chickens in deer for $4.99. They're €8 now to cook. So when you're shopping, you're doing your daily shopping, your big shop, get into the mindset of a lot of people that are retired. Choose your supermarket wisely. Use your one that you like for your big shop, and then where you get bargains, and do shop around, because there are weekly and daily, the supermarkets are in competition. There's lots of offers on, so it's worth shopping around.
Well, this is interesting. This is the big variable, the annual variation, and the mensual. That's monthly, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mensual, and it just does show you all of those figures there, and the different kinds of meats. Ovino, that's lamb, isn't it? And so that's pork, and vacuno is beef. Other meats. So yeah, the meats have gone up in price. We've been buying our meats from a local place because they do things like the pork chops with the fat on, and but we are a very low carb eating family, so what we're spending, the majority of our food bill is on the expensive meats, because that's what we tend to base our meals on. But we only eat one meal a day. The other meal is just a tapas, really. So that's our spending. The products that have fallen most in price. It's just reset itself. Let's go back again. So what's dropped in price the most? This is a whole load of adverts. Where's that gone?
If you go back up. It's just there.
Oh, it's just there.
Yeah.
Heating, lighting, and water distribution. Yeah, they've experienced a fall of 25%, but that's probably because they went up so much just before that.
Exactly. What goes up? Yeah. So that's a statistic and a damn. What is it? Statistics and lies. So I mean, you can measure anything in a certain way. Although, like I said, butane gas has got a cap on it, and the Prime Minister has capped essential foods. So eggs, flour, milk have all been capped. They've got they can't go above a certain price at the moment.
Very handy. Yes, we're still paying more than that cap for the gas, but I think I'm sure it's a different kind of bottle. That the one that we've got compared to the one that you've got, I think. But there you go. I did a comparison on another site here, which is very interesting. What's it called? Numbeo. This is very, very handy. First thing you put in is the town or city in Spain where you are, and I put Malaga because it's our local provincial city. And I compared it to Leicester in the UK because I thought it would be unfair to compare it to London because prices there that would be like putting Madrid. Even if you compare London and Madrid, Madrid is certainly cheaper for rent, for example, and a few other things as well. But there's the top of this site tells you basic consumer prices, 16.6% lower than Leicester. That's without rent. Consumer prices, including rent, 12.7% lower. Rent prices, 2.2. Restaurant prices, of course, 29.4. That's always a big one. Grocery prices, 11.6 lower. But local purchasing power in Malaga, 14.2% lower. So that's it's obviously in red, that one. So that's a bad thing. So I'm not sure what they mean by local purchasing power. Is that on local shops? I've not investigated that yet, but it gives you in-depth figures on here of lots and lots of things. The only ones that are more expensive on the restaurants is McDonald's, and fair enough, I'm never going to go there anyway, and buying a water bottle, which is 20%.
I don't know where they're buying their water in Malaga. 20 cents here.
I think water varies an awful lot. I think they've taken an average price of if you're on the very touristy bit, yes, you probably
would, yeah.
Or you go to a garage and buy it from there. Yeah. But
this is really fascinating. To eggs, 2.30.
And the cheese there, I was talking to you about before the show. Spanish cheese, very, very expensive. And if you want to buy British cheese, for example, it's a lot more expensive. And there are very good reasons for that. You'd only get them in smaller portions. You'd get it probably in a British supermarket in Spain. They're a lot more expensive anyway because they're importing the stuff that's already costly in the UK, and they usually bring in the specialized brands, and it comes over here, and it's such an expensive amount for a small piece of cheese. But if you buy, and there's something else to know as well, a lot of the cheese that you get, a lot of the cheddar that you get in the UK is imported from Ireland. A lot of the cheese is made in Ireland. You wouldn't think it because cheddar cheese is, you think about England. It's an English cheese, but a lot of it's created in Ireland. So it's already gone through an import procedure to get there, and the most basic ones. But you can get in Lidl, for example, a vintage cheddar, and you can get 2 decent sized ones for just over £5. And that, I think, has come direct from Ireland. So it's not got those heavily in and out of Europe import and export charges on them. So I disagree with the cheese thing there. I would pay less for cheese here than we did in
I think
Ireland.
Sort of averages. Loaf of fresh white bread.
Yeah,
but
it fits in. Yep, but
it's worth. This is a really handy tool because you can directly compare to where you're living currently at the moment in the UK.
Yep.
€5 for a bottle of wine. What's the matter with them?
What? That's an expensive bottle of wine. Where's that?
Oh, that's
A
anniversary.
bottle of wine. Or mid-range. Yeah, well, yeah,
Oh,
mid-range.
that's anniversary prices. We don't pay over €1.40. What's the matter with them?
But seven in Leicester? No,
Ooh.
that's a very cheap bottle of wine in Leicester.
Yeah.
For goodness sake, that's I call it a mid-range bottle of wine in Ireland. You'd be talking 12, 13, 14,
Yeah.
15. But yeah, that's €5 is quite expensive.
I pay €1 for 3 lettuce. Pack of
Yeah.
cigarettes. Yeah, no need to give up here if you're a smoker. Carry on.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, it depends, doesn't it? We
Depends.
could have called the show "It Depends." It all depends on how you want to live your life, how you eat, where you want to live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is the big thing.
So there's no one correct answer. The only thing to know is you have got to be regimented about budgeting, because unless you're extraordinarily rich and you've got an unending supply of money, you keep an eye on what you're spending to know whether you're on track or not.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
$3.99, yeah.
Yeah, so that's that's Liz saying that $3.99 now. That's the price in Lidl. I keep saying IKEA in my head. I keep getting those names confused. Don't go to IKEA for your cheese. Yeah. Oh, the water is from a restaurant. Liz says that's the price that you'd pay if you're in a restaurant. Yeah, fair enough. But no, you wouldn't do that. And you can drink the water from a tap in Malaga anyway. So there you go. And learn the way to ask for tap water. Can you do that in Granada? Will they serve you tap water?
Yeah.
In some restaurants, they don't like to do that.
No, but it's now the law. It's one of the things that's come, and they have to give you water if you ask for it. I always just say pasta agua, and sometimes you get a little bottle. Depends. We went out for a meal this week. Some friends took us out. We got a nice little bottle of Lanjarón, which is very nice water. But
lovely, yeah. Yeah,
it's worth, like I said, it's worth learning those phrases to make sure that you get like your tap water and.
Colin's saying, don't forget community fees. Yeah, so that's if you live in an urbanization or a block of apartments.
Yeah.
If there's a shared swimming pool, 125 per quarter in the Costa Blanca. That varies an awful lot, so it depends on the size of the community and the sort of building that you're in, and the cost of their cleaning company, I suppose.
Yeah.
Barry's saying it can be worthwhile long term to top up the UK pension. Yeah, we're talking pensions again.
Yeah.
I've been told not to top up the what is it? There's 2 different ways of doing it. I can add years to take it to more years of contributions, but I was told it's not worth paying for the missing years that you've had otherwise in the past, because that's more expensive. There's a kind of a special deal on at the moment. You only pay something like 120, 130 pounds per year to pay for the whole contribution for the year if you're topping up, and that's what I'm doing at the moment. It's 160 something euros, and that's worth doing, so my pension advisor says. So talk to your pension advisor about that one. That is for a different show. It's nearly time to get a tax advisor back on again. Anything else we've missed out? I had a whole list of expenses and talking about my budget, but I would think the sort of budget that I've got is very different from everybody else's. I say we're on a very meaty diet, very low carb, so we don't eat any of those potatoes, rice, but so we don't have paella, for example. Lots and lots of foods that we can't do. Oh, Bev says pet food. Yeah. Big bag of pet food is slightly cheaper than in Ireland. Depends. Then again, depends which brand you buy. You can pay 30, 40, 50 euros for a 15-kilo bag of the posh stuff. And our monthly expenses include lots of other things that are to do with us being self-employed as well. Liz has to buy various different aromatherapy oils and public liability insurance and all kinds of products and towels as well. And there's the extra cleaning costs, the extra electricity costs of throwing them in the washing machine every day. We didn't mention that electricity, depending on which tariff you're on, there's a certain percentage of the country that are on a tariff where the prices are different every hour. And I've got an app on my phone, and you look at an app every day as well. So the prices change every hour, and Sunday prices are usually the very best, or during the week it's usually the cheapest. You'd think overnight, but sometimes it's between 2 and 6 that's the cheapest in the afternoon.
Varies day to day, doesn't it?
Keep an eye, and they publish those prices about 10 o'clock the night before. So it's a good idea to stick your washing machine. If you can put a timer on your washing machine, then you can do that at a certain time in the night when it's the cheapest, but it's not always the cheapest during those hours. One of our good friends up in Granada province, they've got a tariff which is completely free on a Sunday, but they're paying more during the week. So they do absolutely everything on a Sunday and then just shut everything down. They if they don't use the aircon, or if they're going to use it, then they do it a bit on a Sunday. And then it's the time when you close your shutters down during the day. Keep the hot air out. It's not a matter of keeping the heat in this country, it's keeping it out. And then you open the windows at night.
If I hear one more person on a place in the sun say, "Oh no, I don't like this house, it's too dark, I want big windows," I'm made to turn the TV off now if I watch them, because I'm screaming at them, "You don't want bright windows, you want it dark."
Yeah, there's another one for a cup. Light and airy. Light and airy. We want light and airy. This is not light and airy enough. We want a bedroom that's got massive windows so we can see the sunshine when it comes in. No, you don't want that. You will boil. And you just
shutters down now. I haven't opened them today because they've just cracked them just so you can see a little bit of light, and they'll just stay down all day because it's it's not just the sun, it's the hot air as well, like you say, keeping the hot air out. So light and airy, get that on a mug.
Yeah, light and airy. No. So anything else we need to talk about before we should round up the show? I could show this Numbeo thing all day, and I'm just looking at lots of other things on it as well. But I just suggest that people look at. There's not just that comparison site. There are probably a few others as well, and they're not paying me anything to put that one up. So, and I don't know exactly where they get their figures from. But do your own research on that. I would say. Research.
It absolutely is, and I think your starting point for me is decide how you want to live your life. How do you live your life if you're coming to here and you're still in the UK? How do you live your life in the UK? How do you want to live your life here? If you want to live your life very similarly, then think about setting your budget accordingly to that. If you want to come here and have a very simple life and live life differently, then it's that's going to be different. But do your research. A comfortable life can be had around between, like I said, 18,000 to 23,000 euros a year for a couple.
Unless you're in Madrid, maybe it's more like 3.5.
Yeah. So that's your sort of ballpark figure, and then work from there. But do year one, stick to your budget and review it, because you don't want to come here and be miserable. You want to come here and maximize your everyone's come here to live the dream. So
and the dream is live like you're on holiday. It turns out that it's not quite like that. But you can make it work. The conclusions: it's not as cheap as it used to be, but it's definitely still cheaper than the UK, for example. I think it's cheaper than the US. Definitely in terms of medicine, and probably a lot of other things as well. It's certainly cheaper on alcohol. That's another thing. Your health might deteriorate quite a lot if you're going to spend the amount on alcohol that once you start buying wine for a €1.50 a bottle, the temptation is there to do it.
You've got a budget for more clothes then, because the weight you put on.
There is that. Yes, I'm walking up and down the mountains a lot more, and I'm lucky enough to have a job that this job actually is the sedentary part of my life. But when I get up on stage, I jump around an awful lot. So if you're going to come here and be self-employed, or even if you come here to retire, keep your exercise up.
Yeah, vital.
and you can walk around and enjoy it. Wherever you're living, whatever part of Spain you're in. You'll find that if you're living in the Campo, you'll probably end up walking around a lot more, because you'll realize that you can't go out for dinner very much if one of you has to drive from the local restaurant, or you'll be doing it by breaking the law, and I'm not going to advise that. So yeah, that was a lot, and there's probably an awful lot more we could say. And Bev asked for the name of that site, Numbeo, Numbeo. And as I say, research, there are probably more. That was just the first one that came up, probably because they've paid a lot to advertise on Google Ads, and it came up as first on the list. But yeah, there's even the price for how much to buy an apartment in the city centre, apartment outside of the centre, cost of different houses in different areas, and those prices are going to change as the year goes on as well. And the price of housing is dropping, I think, in the UK at the moment, because of problems with mortgage and interest rates going up and things like that. So those are things that you have to look at. Such a lot that you need to look at, and location is a big thing.
Yeah,
as always, because that will affect what your budget's going to be. There you go. That's my summary. Anything else to add to that?
No, not at all. It's not all about the flip-flops. You've got to put
That's one for the it's not all about the flip-flops. I'm gonna put that on a mug. It's not really. Brilliant. There we go. So viewers, if you have any more questions now, thanks to everybody, by the way, on the live chat. Don't put any more questions on the live chat, because that will mostly disappear after we go off air. Put your questions and comments in the YouTube comments below. Don't go back to when you flick off and go back to Facebook and put it in the thing where you found the link to YouTube in the first place, because only you will read that one and nobody else will get the answers that you put up there. Put it on YouTube underneath the video. And it also helps the video be seen by more people as well. The artificial intelligence and the all of that technical mumbo jumbo happens on YouTube, for YouTooSpain. So you'll be helping us by putting comments on there as well. Don't forget to click on the like button. That helps. Subscribe as well. That helps if you haven't already. So you'll be the first to know what's happening each week. And in a moment, I'll tell you who's on the show. I'll tell you what, let's keep you on to the very end, Ruth. Normally I say goodbye to the guest here, but it's only a couple of minutes. Next Saturday's show, I'll be talking to Chris from Upsticks again. He's actually going to be 2 weeks in a row, because there's something happening I think it's going to be confirmed very soon, on the July 1st show, which is the one after. So I'm going to have Chris on 2 weeks in a row, because we're going to be doing something completely different on that show. And so I'll confirm the subject of next week's show during the week, but that'll be linked in with the announcement that will be made on that show for what's happening next week. I hope that's clear. So subscribe if you haven't already, and there'll be a message that'll come through to you, and I'll also announce it on YouTooSpain's Facebook community or YouTooSpain Facebook page. I don't know if you know, there are 2 different ones of those. So yes, you can find them. Very easy. Julie Painters, I can't drink cheap wine. It gives me a headache. I buy €5 to €8 a bottle. Wow.
Ooh.
Tell you what, the stuff that doesn't give you a headache, get 13.5% or 14% wine. Don't get the cheaper stuff. The cheaper stuff is the one that's got more of the additives in it. I think that's certainly what I found in Ireland and in the UK. I would never buy the really cheaper stuff. That would give me a worse hangover than the stuff that's stronger. So drink stronger wine is my advice. And if you're going to get the cheaper stuff, there we go.
Mercadona white, Fidencio white wine, $1.45 a bottle.
Yeah,
doesn't give you a headache. It's lovely.
I don't like the red Fidencio.
No, that's
and because of that, I didn't even try the white one until somebody gave it me at a party, and I went, "Oh, actually, this is nice."
It's really nice. Yeah, the red one's only good for making
chili.
Yeah, put it in your cooking or making a tinto burano.
Yeah, which I don't drink because I don't drink fruit juice. But there you go. I don't like the sugary drinks, which is a shame because the number of cocktails and lovely sugary drinks you can get are delightful. But there you go. Not for me. I just had my blood tests yesterday, so I did a week without wine or even without fruit. I'm just making sure that the results that come through to my doctor are not going to make her say you need to be on tablets for the rest of your life because your glucose level is high. But I've just bought online one of those watches to test my levels of blood glucose as the day goes on, because I don't eat glucose, and I don't tend to eat many products, or even fruit and vegetables can be really, really high in it. But so I keep them really low anyway. But for some reason, when I had my last blood test, my blood glucose was like about 1.5 times what it should be in their estimation. And for somebody who's not eating very many carbs, why does that happen? So I'm going to find out whether my body is actually doing what it should naturally do, which is produce a higher level of glucose in the morning, produce a spike of that, which raises my blood glucose level, and I can use that to burn off what I need in the morning and get me up and going. So I think that's what's happening. So I'm getting the watch so I can have a graph to prove it and say it's not like that all day, honestly. And it's not because I'm eating stuff that makes my blood sugar spike every couple of hours, which is what happens to most people.
There's another show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Health in Spain.
So there we go. Why not ask some questions in advance on YouTooSpain's Facebook community? The link is below, and we'll see you all next Saturday morning at the regular time of 9 o'clock if you're in the UK or Ireland, or 10 o'clock if you're in Spain or Central Europe. What watch app is that? Says I'll send you an email, and I need to reply to the email that you've sent me anyway, which was really interesting. Sorry, I didn't reply to that immediately. And I'll talk about that watch app on another show, on the health one. And thank you so much, Ruth, for being the fount of all knowledge for this program.
Been lovely. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias. Hasta pronto. Buenos días.
Buenos días. So that's all for this week, everybody. Somebody pass around the cost of living cookies. I don't eat cookies anymore. I can't. Anyway, peace and love to all of you. Let's put the peace and love thing up here. Here we go. Let's put all of the things. Peace and love, everybody. And don't forget, it's a win-win-win with a cherry on top. Or if you can't have peace and love, then have peas and fluff. And don't forget this one as we leave for today. See you very, very soon. Peace and love. And one final message from Walter and Tommy and all that lot. Bye-bye for now. Bye, lads. Bye. Goodbye. Toodaloo. Peace and love. Peas and fluff. Oi, oi. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. One more cosmic dance? All right, then. Look, Mum, I'm dancing. Oh, I'm all a quiver. Let's dance.